Credit freeze, also known as a security freeze, is a powerful tool that can help individuals protect their credit from identity theft and other fraudulent activities. A credit freeze is a process that allows individuals to restrict access to their credit reports, making it more difficult for fraudsters to open new accounts or lines of credit using their personal information. How does a credit freeze work? When an individual initiates a credit freeze, they contact each of the three major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, and request that their credit reports be frozen. This prevents the credit bureaus from releasing the individual's credit report to anyone, including lenders and other financial institutions, without their explicit permission. Once a credit freeze is in place, it remains in effect until the individual decides to lift it. The process of lifting a credit freeze typically involves contacting each of the credit bureaus again and providing them with a unique personal identification number, PIN, or password that was created when the credit freeze was initiated. Why should individuals consider a credit freeze? A credit freeze can be an effective way to protect against identity theft and other types of fraud. When a credit freeze is in place, it makes it much more difficult for fraudsters to open new accounts or lines of credit using an individual's personal information. As lenders and other financial institutions will not be able to access their credit report without their permission. In addition to the added security that a credit freeze provides, it can also be a good way to protect against unauthorized credit inquiries, which can negatively impact an individual's credit score. When a credit freeze is in place, lenders and other financial institutions will not be able to access an individual's credit report without their permission, which can prevent unauthorized inquiries from being added to their credit report. What are the potential drawbacks of a credit freeze? While a credit freeze can provide valuable protection against identity theft and other types of fraud, it is important to understand that it may also come with some potential drawbacks. For example, a credit freeze can make it more difficult for individuals to apply for new credit, as lenders and other financial institutions will not be able to access their credit report without their permission. In addition, a credit freeze may also make it more difficult to conduct other types of financial transactions, such as applying for a job, renting an apartment, or obtaining insurance. In some cases, these types of transactions may require a credit check, which may not be possible if a credit freeze is in place. It is also important to note that a credit freeze does not provide complete protection against all types of fraud. While it can prevent fraudsters from opening new accounts or lines of credit using an individual's personal information, it may not prevent other types of fraud, such as tax fraud or medical identity theft. How to initiate a credit freeze? If an individual decides to initiate a credit freeze, they can do so by contacting each of the three major credit bureaus directly. Each bureau may have slightly different procedures for initiating and lifting a credit freeze, so it is important to review their specific instructions carefully. In general, individuals will need to provide their personal information, including their name, address, and social security number, as well as a unique personal identification number, PIN, or password that will be used to lift the credit freeze in the future. It is also important to note that there may be a fee associated with initiating or lifting a credit freeze, depending on the state and the individual's specific circumstances. In some cases, Fees may be waived for victims of identity theft or other types of fraud.